Turning now to another major story that we are continuing to follow as we take a live look on Capitol Hill. This, as Attorney General Pam Bondi has announced in a letter that all Epstein files have been released consistent with Section 3 of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. That letter addressed to Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, Ranking Member Dick Durbin, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, and Ranking Member Jamie Raskin was obtained by Fox News Digital. That letter includes a list of more than 300 high-profile names, including President Trump, Barack and Michelle Obama, Prince Harry, Bill Gates, Woody Allen, Kim Kardashian, Kurt Cobain, Mark Zuckerberg, and Bruce Springsteen. In accordance with all Epstein Files Transparency Act, the list of names includes all persons who they are or were a government official or politically exposed person, and their names appear in the files released under the act at least once, adding that the names appear in a wide variety of contexts. Meanwhile, this comes as the fallout continues as Republicans and Democrats alike have raised concerns. Some say too much was withheld and redacted. Others, though, are worried about victims' privacy and potential political weaponization of the files. This also comes as Attorney General Pam Bondi testified before the House Judiciary Committee this past Wednesday on topics including Epstein and accusations of a weaponized Justice Department. To speak more on this, I do want to bring in political analyst Rich Rubino to our show. And Rich, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here on LiveNOW for Fox.
Sure.
So I do want to start out with the significance in this ongoing case. I mean, this case and the controversy has been going on for months now. Attorney General Pam Bondi is now saying that all of the files have been released, but there continues to be a push for greater transparency and greater accountability from both Republicans and Democrats. From a political standpoint, how significant is all of this?
It's very significant because I think you're seeing a few fractures in the conservative, in the MAGA base. Some in the MAGA world, this is not really necessarily an ideological issue. It's just about transparency. It's not like, should you raise taxes? Should you decrease taxes, abortion, gay marriage, anything like that? This is more about transparency. And I think consequently, some of the more conservative members like Nancy Mace, a congresswoman from South Carolina who's currently running for the Republican nomination to become governor of South Carolina, has said that she has no confidence in Pam Bondi. Congressman Thomas Massie, who's very much a libertarian type Republican, has been very critical of President Trump, very critical of Pam Bondi, and but critical on Donald Trump and other issues as well. And he actually has a major primary opponent that's supported by Donald Trump and supported by some Republicans like Andy Barr. But this is very much, I think, an issue where I think Republicans it's very hard to come out and try to say that, and it's very hard for them to, I think, defend Pam Bondi. That's why you're seeing some Republicans at least kind of equivocate and saying that there should be more transparency. And we'll see what the reaction among the Republican Party is about the announcement by Pam Bondi today.
We were hearing testimony from Attorney General Pam Bondi this past week on Capitol Hill, and it was very fiery.
Yes.
A lot of political rhetoric, from the standpoint of both Republicans and Democrats, though, the using of the Epstein controversy for their own political purposes. What's on that agenda? What is the end goal there?
I think Democrats are going to say that President Trump is involved in some sort of a cover-up. I think that looking toward the midterm elections, looking toward the 2026 elections, I think that some Republicans, they don't really want this to be on their plate because, again, this is something that is not an ideological issue. So consequently, people that are even on the more conservative end of the political spectrum who would support Donald Trump on other issues may look at this and say, why isn't the Attorney General being more transparent, something to that effect? It's kind of a drib. Every day there's a little bit more that kind of comes out. I think that one thing that, for example, Howard Lutnick, the current Commerce Secretary, some Republicans have suggested what he really needs to do is just hold a press conference and talk about what his involvement was with Jeffrey Epstein. Was it an innocent involvement? Why did he visit the island? That type of a thing. So this is really something that I don't think Republicans want on their plate. And I think that some of the more moderate members, like Congressman Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, Mike Lawler from New York State, for example, it might be in their cold, calculated political interest to try to distance themselves as much as possible from President Trump here.
And to that point, in terms of which party stands to lose more politically, would it be the Republican Party if this controversy just doesn't go away?
I think that it will. I think that they're trying to change the focus, if you will. They're going to say, well, what about Bill Clinton? What about certain Democrats that are on the list? But the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump is the current president. I think people are looking at that and they're saying, is there some sort of a cover up? What was Donald Trump roles there? And again, it could be completely innocent. It could be that he had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein prior to Epstein's first conviction. But obviously, optics are very important and perception can be reality in American politics. So I think this is something that is certainly every single day, it's something that comes out. And every day that comes out, something comes out about Donald Trump. And it appears that there's at least the appearance of an impropriety. It's something that benefits Democrats and something also I think that makes Democratic donors, I think, incensed. And they consequently will give money to some of the Democrats who are running for seats in the House, running for seats in the United States Senate. It's really something that I think Donald Trump is probably very trepidatious about as he goes into the 2026 presidential elections, because generally speaking, in a 6 year of a presidency, the party almost invariably loses seats in the House of Representatives. And currently they literally have a 2-seat majority, meaning that in every piece, meaning that currently that Thomas Massey, the Libertarian Republican who often votes against the Republican, when he votes against it, they only have one room for error, one Republican potentially who can vote against them in order to get legislation passed. This is a very, very austere challenge for the Republicans, and history is definitely not on their side.
And to your point, Rich, when it comes to how perception can become reality, how is the release and the redaction of the Epstein files affecting public trust in the DOJ and Congress's oversight role?
I think that there is a lot of skepticism, a lot of skepticism toward the DOJ in terms of the Congress's role. I think that's where it comes down to completely a completely partisan matter. I think the Democrats will say that they're very much supportive of congressmen like Jamie Raskin, the Judiciary Committee ranking member. They would say that they would probably have some begrudging support for Tom Massey of Kentucky, who's kind of the one Republican who's really gone against on that committee, who's really gone against the Trump administration. But I think the Republicans, I think that establishment type Republicans are going to defend Donald Trump. But again, it comes down really to some of the more rank and file conservatives. And you're seeing some in the MAGA world, some of the conservative movement, some of the blogosphere, if you will, because again, this is an ideological issue, who are saying, why don't we just reveal more? Why don't we just reveal more? So I think it's certainly in Pam Bondi's political interest to release as many files as possible. And I think today is certainly a good start from a political perspective.
All right, Rich Rubino, a political analyst. As always, we appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
And another live look on Capitol Hill as Attorney General Pam Bondi has announced that all Epstein files have been released. We're going to continue to follow this developing story. Much more to come. Stay with us.